What's good, y'all? The Toronto Raptors are hopefully, because we have been head fake before, they are hopefully on the verge of publicly addressing the public for the first time. Public addressing the public. Wow, this is 10 a.m. brain for a person who's been live streaming a lot recently. But I'm excited to hear what Bobby Webster or Masai Ujiri have to say. It's probably going to be Bobby Webster. And if Brandon Ingram is there, that's cool. Uh, would be surprised if he's not, but let's see. Pepper Jack saying, "Did you sleep?" I am happy to tell you that I did actually sleep. Now I'm devastated for Pendants that I slept because I had like 4 hours of stuff to do, and clearly, but yes, this is a very very busy day ahead for us. So yes, I wanted to sleep. I wanted to make sure that you know I was in a good place. And what I'm realizing right now, honestly, more so than ever before, you need to sleep. You need to sleep. You need to hydrate. You need to drink your water. Shout outs to you people. Drink your water. Just letting y'all know, we have been head fake before. This press conference was supposed to be at 3:30 yesterday. Got moved to 4:30. We were just sitting there, set up a live stream. Now it was moved till 12 today. Then it got moved back to 10 a.m. today. The Raptors are really bad at this stuff. You know what I mean? Like their PR department really does take an L. Does take an L. Okay, got you. So he will not be the presser. That does make sense. The Raptors are on the road, but it will be cool to have him in OKC. Probably him sitting on the bench. I'm sure the cameras will float to him a lot. So, Sparkling saying the Raptors media team has been trolling. Sure. How are y'all doing? You feeling good? We did a live last night. I'm actually quite proud of it. Oh, we're 10:03. 10:03. 10:03. Okay, cool. And we still haven't started. It's cool. It's scheduled for 10 o'clock. Is this how you guys feel when I schedule a live for 9 o'clock and it moves to 9:05 and 9:10 and 9:15 and I end up showing up at like 9:19 and just strolling in like a douche as someone's been sitting there for 19 minutes refreshing their stream? Is that how you guys feel? Man, maybe I should really stop doing that. I'm sorry. Dark Knight saying exactly how we feel. Damn. All right. Having been on the other side of this now, I will do my best to be better about that. I'm sorry. We're starting. It is starting. So they're starting just 4 minutes late, which means they got a one up on me. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Be able to see him this season? Like, we're talking 10 games, 20 games. How much are you guys hoping to be able to see him on the court over the next couple months?
Yeah, there's not going
to, like, even for a valuation standpoint for you guys, how much do you want and need to be able to see him this season? Like, we're talking 10 games, 20 games. How much are you guys hoping to be able to see him on the court over the next couple months?
Yeah, there's not going to be necessarily a sort of quota of X, Y, or Z. I think we'll be strategic about it. We want first and foremost for him to be healthy. And I think that's sort of, we'll get to see over the course of the next couple of days and weeks, sort of where he is in his recovery. But yes, obviously you want to see what he looks like, how he fits. But I don't think we're, at that point where I think we have 31 games left, so we'll have time.
How important is it to see sort of those top 5, 6 guys together?
I know we've had trouble getting the last 5 together. So it is. I think maybe to your point, Josh, we do know what his game looks like, but we do need to see what it fits with Quick and Grady and RJ and Scotty and Yak. But I think time will tell with those.
How do you see the on-court fit playing out specifically between Brandon and Scotty?
Yeah, two talented. Scotty wants to share balls. Brandon wants to score the ball. I think that sort of is a natural fit. Is sort of how you see with Scotty and RJ. Like I said, you can never have too many difference makers. I think high IQ players, great feel for the game, long, athletic. So, our kind of guy.
They both sort of operate in similar areas. Mm-hmm. How do you see them fitting? I know you sort of touched on this, but offensively and sharing the court in a similar area.
I think Brandon's space is more. I think Brandon is, probably more accomplished shooter. I think Scotty's as we're watching him sort of develop his three ball. I think there's enough duos around the league that sort of, stylistically operate in the same space that I'm not too concerned about it.
Duo.
In terms of his contract situation, I know you're able to talk extension with him right away. Do you feel like you guys have a good sense already of his desire to be here, to play here? And
Yes.
Do you feel like you have an idea of how much it's going to cost to keep him around?
Yeah, Brandon wants to be here. I think this was a intentional sort of effort and decision by him, so we appreciate that. And yeah, obviously we've been able to talk to his agent and representatives over the past couple of 24 hours or so, and so we're comfortable where we are.
Can I just say something because I know that he won't say it. He pretty much pushed his way here. Okay.
With RJ coming here, it felt like there was a lot that got unlocked about his game playing in Darko's system. Is there an extent to which you feel like the same will be true for Brandon, and in what ways do you feel like this team, Darko's offense, can get the most out of him?
You'll probably talk to Darko, but I think what you all see, right, is sort of the ball movement, quick decisions. The shooting, I think, helps this specific team that maybe, as an area of improvement. But no, definitely the sort of fast-paced thinking, transition, move the ball, assists. We think definitely will sort of unlock part of Brandon's game.
In terms of the people who are approaching free agency, Boucher did not get moved. Can you talk about what happened? Whether did you have any talks with any teams about him?
Yeah, I always say it takes two to tango in these deals, and so we did have talks. Well, we love Chris, and I think he's now the lone survivor from 2019. It seems like he's been here forever. He's a Canadian kid. He's got a great spirit. You see it whenever he goes in the game, the energy, it never falters. And so, yeah, we love Chris.
Do you anticipate you'll keep him for this year?
Yeah, haven't had any suggestions. Otherwise, I think he wants to be here. We love having him around. He's matured into an actual NBA veteran and has a ton of experience.
In terms of, you guys have a lot of guys who are getting expensive. Scotty has a new contract coming up. You're going to have to pay Brandon Ingram. How do you see all of that working?
I think there's a lot more expensive teams in the NBA. I don't see that. The new TV deal, I think this year we were probably one of the lowest payroll teams. So I think relative to the league, I don't see our guys as being particularly more expensive than sort of what's around the league.
Do you feel you can go into the luxury tax?
I think we've always said, listen, we're going into luxury tax when we want to be competitive. I think the one thing that's changed maybe since 17, 18, 19 is the teams going into the tax, they can't all feel like they're contenders, right? And so I think there's a bit of a change here, which is, are you going into the tax because you think you're going to win the title? Or are you going into the tax because you think you can make the playoffs or the second round? I think that's sort of the equilibrium, or that's sort of the point, that balance that we need to find. But those are decisions probably for, future seasons.
You've got some open roster spots now, and I think Orlando's second 10-day either expired or is expiring. You have a need at center position, as well as probably a few other areas. How do you anticipate using those spots?
Yeah, you'll see some changes in the next coming days. I think we have Jameson's 2-way. His days are coming up. Orlando's 10-day. I think we're going to have one, maybe two open roster spots. So yeah, positionally we'll need to,
Don't you know that?
with Yak dealing with his injury and Kelly out, we'll probably have a big. But Orlando's been good, and I think, we'll continue to evaluate him.
Can we go to an online question from Michael Grange? Go ahead, Michael.
Online.
Hey, Bobby.
So,
Sorry
Mike,
if someone's asked this. Just wondering, how far along you guys might be in terms of the general outline of an extension with Brandon.
we're talking, I think we're sort of both in the same ballpark, but obviously, don't want these things to be public negotiations. But I think more sort of to Aaron's earlier question, we sort of know, what the expectations are. Obviously, there's a lot of points to a deal, and sort of we're going through those now.
Thank you.
Eric, did you have a question? I saw your hand was up earlier.
Yeah, thanks. You talked about the fit with Scotty and Brandon. How do you see RJ fitting into that as somebody who, loves to get to the basket and works off sort of, taking handoffs? How do you see the fit? Darko will address this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Brandon shooting, offensively, he's incredibly talented. And so the spacing that he provides with his ability to shoot the ball, whether it's from three or from the mid.
Damn it.
It's not crafty.
Sorry.
It's your craft.
Rim, and then sort of Scotty's natural passing ability. But at the same time, I think we need a lot of good players and we need a lot of good difference makers. And so this just adds to that group. I think in trading Bruce and Kelly, you sort of take two guys who are coming off our bench and you turn them into a starter. It allows for a bit more flexibility on that starting lineup. Obviously, you can play a little bigger with Brandon, Scotty, and Yak together. So I think it's more options as opposed to how does that specific lineup fit. But Darko will obviously have more on that.
Grange, do you have another one, or is your hand just still up?
I did raise my hand
Oh, that's good.
again. Sorry about this. When you guys were doing your background on Brandon, the injuries seem to keep popping up pretty consistently. Was there something, or have you made yourself comfortable that that's not going to be a trend that continues going forward?
Valeria Trump has been banned.
Well, I think a bit of it too helps with the trade and the ability to sort of get him for the cost. And so I think maybe that's baked into it. But I think we feel like we'll be able to get the best out of him. From afar, obviously, you never know for sure. We did have the benefit of having Mr. Stackhouse here, who's close to him. So there's enough people around Brandon that you're sort of able to get a picture of his love for the game of basketball. Obviously, you don't get to that level of skill without an immense amount of hard work and sort of skill development. And so we're always going to bet on those types of characteristics.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions in the room?
Yeah, now 4 straight years that this team has traded a first-round pick for a pending free agent, and not always necessarily an expected move over the course. Obviously, circumstances have been different every year, but what does that say about this front office's mindset?
I think we like bringing people in here. I think we like bringing in players first to get a feel for them. I think it's tough when you go to free agency and you may not sort of intimately know the player or know his habits. And so with Jakob, obviously we knew him before, but bringing in players, getting a feel for them, and then re-signing them for us is better background, better due diligence.
The other 2 trades you made, do you know what your plans are with PJ? And can you walk us through the Wiseman deal at all?
Yeah, so the Wiseman deal, I think we were able to use some more flexibility to pick up some financial considerations. Is always helpful around the draft. I think last year we were able to buy in and get Ulrich, and so it's always nice to have that on hand. And then with PJ, I think people followed his sort of where he's been. Spoke to his reps yesterday. If we can find him a home, by all means, but do not anticipate PJ coming up here.
Have you
Aw.
you guys have seen some part of the college basketball season so far this year? What are your thoughts on this year's draft class?
I think it's strong. You guys know I can't speak sort of specific to any of the players. Scouting these players for a number of years, I think we had identified this year's draft as particularly strong at the top, but also throughout. And so for us, it's, that's the mission number 1 now is let's go out and travel the world and figure out which of these guys. Takes me back a little bit to the Tampa year when you start to identify Scotty around this time and sort of, how many difference makers do you feel like are in the draft? But no, we feel confident and obviously the lottery balls and lottery gods will determine where we end up. But that's our job to find the players.
We'll do the last one from Eric, whose hand is up again.
Thank you. You said you talked to Jerry. Just in general, I know you'll learn more about him, but what do you know about Brandon off the court in terms of what he wants and what type of person he is?
Yeah, quiet kid. I don't think
I'm going to guarantee that a lot of stuff that we've talked about over the last 2 days is going to come up right now. I'm just guessing.
think, well spoken, hard worker, loves basketball. Sort of grew up. I think maybe what he would describe, or maybe what most people would think of as sort of in the country in North Carolina. Incredible pedigree going to Duke, as people know, number 2 pick. So I think the basketball has and will always be first for Brandon. I think, the skill, the length, the physical attributes contribute to that. But the basketball work ethic has to be there. And so that's the biggest thing and biggest plus for Brandon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Was that phone call?
I know. Let's see.
Don't forget, the camera's still
Cat-
on. I gotta-
I won't say
Have
who
you
it's
another
from.
Uh-oh.
No more trades.
You guys are planning for the off season.
Uh-oh.
Thanks again for coming back, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if Chef Ryan walks by, it's her birthday.
Is that it?
The chef walks by. Oh, that draft.
Is that legitimately it? What? Okay. Well, if that legitimately is it, and we're not waiting for Masai Ujiri to, I'm inclined to say it could very well be it. It could be it. Let me just double confirm.
Oh.
Oh Lord, that actually is it. Okay, cool. Let's react. What did we hear? Absolutely nothing. There's not one thing that was said there. Oh wait, no, PJ Tucker is not coming. Yay, breaking news. So PJ Tucker is not coming. The Raptors, just have this, like funny way about them. Anyways, this is, you know what you needed right now? And honestly, this is just a free sort of word to Raptors media. You have 2 sort of leaders, right? I mean, you really have 3 leaders, but let's not talk about the third. You have 2 leaders. Those 2 leaders, actually, you have 4 leaders. Those 4 leaders, only one of them has actual charisma. The rest are frankly dweebs, and very lovable dweebs that are great, but have no real ability to amplify the the importance of a moment. So yes, but as someone who's known this for 2 weeks, that's not news to me, and hopefully if you've been following these lives, that's not news to you either. So I feel like you need Masai Ujiri. So I'm gonna do my very best Masai Ujiri impression without the accent, because Lord knows that would be crazy, right? And we're gonna get what we really just want out of this. So what I want to do is a mock Q&A, and I'm gonna give you the Masai Ujiri answer. Okay. That's funny. Okay, so shoot your questions, and we are going to try and answer it. There will be a lot. Are you trying to get me canceled? Why can't I do the accent? Number one, there's only one accent that I can legitimately pull off, and it ain't Nigerian. Masai, when does Pendant start? That's a great question. That's a great question. I appreciate you, Paul. No. I'm going to start these questions, please. We need some good questions. Okay. Let's do the questions. Don't care about the lack of charisma. I prefer competence. Boo this man. Boo. No. Competence without charisma is garbage. No, you need charisma. All right, we don't want you canceled. Low key, you kind of do want me canceled. Okay. Are you trying to find different? Okay. Are you worried that Scotty BR could be redundant? Okay. Okay, we have 6 questions from our Pensare media. Okay. Okay, let's do this. First of all, Masai, when does Pendance start? Thank you for this beautiful question, Paul. Pendance is a great film festival. First of all, I want to tell you that it's not just great, it's fucking great. And we're going to let the entire world know that cinema is coming to Toronto. Believe in yourselves. Believe in this city, that you can run a winter film festival and have the whole world show up. Thank you for that question. Masai Ujiri, Dennis Schroeder, is he a leader? Dennis is a great basketball player. As I've been following his career for many years, he's been doing a great job in Germany. You see all the stuff that he does off the court, on the court. We love Dennis, but no, he's not a fucking leader. Get out of here. And why didn't you trade Jakob Pertl for Dalton Connect? We are trying to win in Toronto. We believe in champions. Jakob Pertl, I tell you, what's your name? Lord Commander Snow. I tell you, I drafted that guy. And I remember Jakob Pertl eating cereal when I came down and I had nearly a tear in my eye, you know, Lord Commander Snow. And I thought to myself, finally, the Yak has come back to Toronto. And I thought to myself, sorry, I tried to do a rock impression there. I thought to myself, yes, this is how you win championships. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jakob Pertl. This is how you win championships. 7-footers. Is Dalton Connect 7 feet? No. Fuck that bum. Move on. Are you going to find it difficult to actually know how this all fits with the constant injuries? I'm not going to lie to you. It is very difficult to figure out what roster we have because we've had a lot of injuries. But to the people who think that we don't know, we know. We know what this looks like. We understand putting smart basketball players together. We understand that having Scotty and now Brandon Ingram, how much all the teams in the league are looking at big playmakers. We have 2 of the best ones in the NBA. 2 of the best. This is how you win. And what are we trying to do in Toronto? We're trying to win. And if you want to win, you must have big wings. You can't have small wings because then you can't fly. You need wings to fly. And if you want to fly in Toronto, you need to have big wings who can play make. And you need to have wings who can defend. And you need to have a 7-footer in the paint. You will see when this team comes together that this is why I'm the GOAT. This is why Ted Rogers hates me, because I'm so good at my fucking job. And you think that in 2019, when we brought a championship to Toronto, you think that I was done? I'm just getting started. Don't forget who I am. It's fucking Masai Ujiri. Hey, Masai, PJ Tucker, why? OVO Ant 6. Respect to the great PJ Tucker, who has not only graced the Toronto Raptors with his presence in 2006 when this organization drafted him, when I was just on the verge of starting out under Brian Colangelo, but also later on, he was a part of our second iteration. Do you know what PJ Tucker is? PJ Tucker is an omen to success because the first year that PJ Tucker was here, if you recall, we went to the playoffs and had 47 wins. Winning. You know the word, winning. Maybe you don't. You're a loser. But winning. We won the first time PJ came here. The second time PJ came here, we started We the North. That's another win. We brought him back, We the North. Therefore, PJ Tucker is the good luck charm. He is like a fortune cookie, and his fortune says, we are winning. Therefore, that's okay. Are you worried that Scotty, BI, and RJ could be redundant? Andrew, are you crazy? Do you understand basketball? Or did you take a degree from Clown University? Come on, Andrew. Redundant. How many teams in the league can you look at that have 3 playmakers like this? A Canadian homegrown Maple Mamba, a former 3rd overall pick, 2nd overall pick, 4th overall pick. This is why these guys go so high in the draft. And what we need to do right now with Darko and Jama, and man, I hope we can get Patrick Matumbo back. I really miss that guy. What we need to do is we need to harness these players and we need to show them how to win together. Redundant, smart basketball players figure it out. And these guys are going to figure it out. Are you planning on resting Brandon Ingram for the rest of the season? Candidly, are you stupid? No. We are about winning. What message would it send to the fan base and to our organization and to our devoted followers if we just sit out? No. Tank for what? Play in for what? No, we are drifting aimlessly for sure right now. If I'm being honest, oops, I didn't mean to say that. No, we're not tanking for Cooper Flag. Oh shit, Adam, please don't fire me. Okay, no, we definitely would like to see competitive basketball. We need to show these youngsters how to play basketball. We need to show them how to win basketball. We're not planning on resting Brandon Ingram. We want to see Brandon Ingram. We want to see Brandon out there playing, getting reps. I tell you right now, I'm fucking Masai Ujiri. We're not tanking on back-to-back years. We already tanked back-to-back years. We're not tanking on back-to-back-to-back years. Okay? At 1, I say, damn. At 2, I say, fuck. At 3, I quit. I don't do this anymore. I'm not going to tank for a 3rd straight year. So I want you to know that it wasn't Ted Rogers holding a gun to my head forcing me to make a deal for Brandon Ingram because he was sick and tired of us losing to Charlotte. No, that's not what happened. What happened is we saw an opportunity. We took an opportunity. Brandon is a type of player that we don't usually see come up for a trade. We had some assets. We gave some assets. You got to give something to get something. We think that the core of Brandon and Scotty and Emmanuel Quickly with Jacoby and Grady is how you win in Toronto. And yes, I deliberately left RJ Barrett off of that because we're secretly kind of a little bit shopping him. Okay. Live viewers. I was hoping Masai would talk. I just talked. Hey, that thing being funny thing is coming along nicely. Hey, nice. I'm being charismatic. I'm like a cyborg. You can train me to do whatever. Okay. Bro, Simmons is going to be a Laker. That's nice. PJ's not coming back. I mean, sorry, he's not coming. Okay. Bobby on the Raptors show at 11 a.m. He'll have more to say. Well, that's dope. I can't wait to listen to that. RJ called out RJ specifically about the core. Well, it just so happens that many, many times when the core has been brought up, it has been Scotty, Grady, IQ. And now he's saying BI. I'm just telling you right now what I told you yesterday. Random question: who's better, Nash or Kidd? So most of the time, I say Kidd because he's a much better defender. Usually, I prefer Kidd. I'm sorry to say that. I know it's not a very popular opinion in Canada, but if it makes you feel any better, I did put Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over 2017 Steph. So I'm trying to make it up. Give me Nash. I'm Canadian biased. Yeah. Pen Ujiri, what kind of trades were you looking at the deadline, and how did BI trade fit into those? Well, Smock, I don't know if you're the Smock that I know. Thanks for being my boss. I don't know if you're that smoke, but okay. I don't know, man. We obviously, truth serum. We obviously called about Devin Booker. Nearly made Pensare Basketball look like a friggin' visionary, but that wasn't going to happen because the Suns are idiots. So we looked around the league. We looked at star players. We thought about Zach LaVine, and then we thought, nah, our defense can't sustain that trash. And then we thought about Brandon, and we said, listen, this is a player who's on Scotty's timeline. This is a player who meshes very well with Scotty. And if you think that I'm saying Scotty a lot, it's because, yes, despite what this clown media says, we're building this thing around him for the last 3.5 years, right under your stupid noses, and y'all don't figure it out. So I would love to see RJ here. Like, I want to be clear about something. I know that I've been sort of letting it out the bag right now that RJ Barrett. Wait, let me take off my Masai Ujiri hat and put my me hat on, because I have no idea how Masai Ujiri actually feels about RJ Barrett, other than they would like this to be a pit stop for him or a permanent stop for him where he just figures out his basketball career. Because I think, few years into his Knicks career, it wasn't going super well. 4.5 years into his Knicks career, it almost looked like he was about to fizzle out into being a bench player or role player. So I think the Raptors sort of did him a service, sort of rescuing him from that situation. But right now, I think you have a glut of wings, and you have, if you think about RJ versus Grady right now, definitively RJ is the better player. He's the better playmaker. He's the better driver of offense. He's the better passer. He's the better defender. He's better at like everything than Grady other than shooting. And if Grady doesn't become like a 42% 3-point shooter, that's tough to sell yourself on the marginal gap. I think the gap in Grady and RJ is just how relentless Grady is off the ball. You know what I mean? Like, in theory, the idea of Grady next to Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes is just so much like the actualized, perfected version of Grady. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, is just so much more appealing next to Scotty and Ingram than RJ is. And that's not saying that what RJ does isn't going to be magnified tremendously under Brandon Ingram. See, what Brandon Ingram does is he makes RJ more efficient and he makes Scotty more efficient. What Scotty does is he makes RJ more efficient and Brandon Ingram more efficient. In theory, this is supposed to work. Now, of course, there's many things in theory that were supposed to work and then fizzled out and didn't work at all. But I do want to say that there's a really, really good chance that you see a return to what the Raptors saw with Pascal Siakam. Now, if you remember, it's a very limited sample size. I think it was 8 or 9 games that all of RJ, Pascal, and Scotty played together, if you remember. And of course, this meant that RJ was playing the 2. And RJ hasn't played the 2 in a while. But I believe that the team that is winning the size differential across most positions typically has a better chance of winning. Like, obviously, there's going to be exceptions. You play Brandon Carlson against Jalen Williams. Okay, yeah, he's got 7-8 inches, but he's going to be worse, right? It's not always the case that the team with more size, more length wins. But more often than not, the team with more size, more length is going to have like a 5 to 10% advantage, all things even, over the team with less. And the bigger that disparity, the bigger that gap. So when you put RJ at the 2, Emmanuel at the 1, Scotty at the 3, BI at the 4, or even BI at the 3, Scotty at the 4, Jakob at the 5, you're bigger than most teams. Also, because now you have to deal with Brandon Ingram's gravity as a shooter, as a scorer, and Scotty's gravity as a cutter, as a passer, as a scorer in the mid post. RJ Barrett now draws a really weak defender, maybe even a non-defender, maybe even a point guard defender. RJ Barrett is going to eat, and he's going to be more efficient than he's ever been before. What makes RJ less efficient right now is you really do have so little space that he has to be a shooter. And that's where I see Grady and IQ thriving more from this than RJ. Now, it's possible that RJ thrives just as much, but they all would thrive in different ways. It's never going to be a bad thing to have the weakest defender, the weakest wing defender on you, right? Like RJ will effectively be guarded by RJ. And if RJ is being guarded by RJ, the RJ with the ball is going to fucking score. Do you know what I mean? AG saying anyone who's not a fan of this trade doesn't know basketball and should stick to watching hockey. Look, I've advocated putting out takes like that as well myself. I've thought about it. And I'm like, man, anyone who doesn't like this trade is stupid. I would like to stay away from making blanket statements like that personally. I mean, you're free to make the statement yourself, but I would like to try and dial it back from there. Look, there is a world in which the people who are against this trade, who cite expensive roster, you know, you don't know if Brandon Ingram comes here and says, I want to play right away and I want to win right away. You don't know that. I mean, I would assume that the plan is kind of laid out and then Brandon's smart enough to pick up what they're putting down. I mean, I'm pretty firm on the fact that this doesn't make you a necessarily better basketball team right now. It just makes you a way better basketball team going forward. Right. I also want to say, because I didn't say it yesterday, and I do want to reiterate, I think that because the Raptors are going to be so crunched at the end of the roster, and now Bobby Webster said that that they might be willing to, he kind of insinuated that they might be willing to go into the luxury tax and maybe pay that bill. Okay, sure. Let's believe that that's the case. How much into the luxury tax you're willing to go is a really important question. And I feel like they're kind of giving themselves some padding so that they don't commit to not being a tax team. They're going to try to not be a tax team, right? Unless something shatters their mind this offseason, I think they're going to be. BI pushed for this trade, so obviously he wants this trade agreement to work out. No, for sure. Brandon Ingram is not trying to be on a third team. He's not trying to go to a third team. But that being said, like, he is from North Carolina, so I mean, I would love to see how much cap space Charlotte has as a competitive offer. I think if you're the Raptors, you have two things really working in your favor. And I just want to add the third thing. Two things working in your favor is you're not going to pay him more than Scotty Barnes. I think you can just walk to Rich Paul and say, look, we're not going to pay him more than Scotty Barnes. That's our franchise guy. That's our number one guy. We are not going to pay him more. So any contract that he has is starting under Scotty's 41. That immediately removes the 50 off the table. If the Raptors sign Brandon Ingram to $50 million, he would be the highest paid player and therefore kind of like your franchise guy. That's crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that's a good negotiation tactic. As long as RJ and Emmanuel quickly stay on your books and Jakob Poeltl stays on your books, you also can't afford to go deep into the luxury tax. And so anything over 36, 37 does push you into luxury tax territory. And you would simply tell Brandon Ingram, hey, you have an injury history. You haven't been an all-star in 4.5 years. The going rate for players of your caliber is pretty much OG Anunoby last year, and that deal started at 36. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Ingram gets the same contract that OG Anunoby got. Some people find that criminally insane. I don't. I think Brandon Ingram is a better player than OG Anunoby. They both have injury histories. OG was technically overpaid last summer. Brandon is signing at a summer later. Typically, contracts go up. So I would try to offer him the same deal that OG signed with the Knicks and see if he takes it. He's also the same age as OG, right? 26, 27. Anyways, I would think about that. The third thing I would say is because the Raptors will be so crunched with the numbers, even if Brandon Ingram does take, a deal starting at 36 that rises up, just because they'll be so crunched with the numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if they explore moving either RJ Barrett or somebody like that. But I also want to say the end of bench guys, they're going to need to get really creative. And when I say really creative, I mean Gershon Yabusele. Gershon Yabusele was, I mean, I was applauding that when I saw him in the Olympics, and I've been watching him overseas for a couple of years. I was applauding that move because this is a guy who had a cup of tea with the Boston Celtics, went overseas, proved himself, went on the national stage for Team France, was incredible, if not their best player, their second best player, third best player on most nights. And he comes into the Sixers organization, and he has routinely been starting for them, and he makes a veteran minimum. The Raptors need to go find the next Gershon Yabusele, a cheap EuroLeague veteran that is willing to come to the NBA. And oh, by the way, you have a unique pitch because you run the most European style basketball in the league. Well, one of the 5 most European themed basketball systems in the league. So I think very strongly that the Raptors' path to filling out their roster will be actually through European players and overseas players, because the Chris Bouchers and the Matisse Thybulles, these are expensive, unnecessary ads. You need to teach them how to play basketball. It's athleticism, but who cares, right? You don't need that. No, what you need is solid shooters, solid basketball players, solid connectors. There's a Bruce Brown equivalent type of player in Europe, and you can get him for the minimum. And instead, you're going to be stupid and you're going to go try to get Bruce Brown for $12 million. Doesn't make sense. I'm very curious to see what happens with Bruce Brown. Curious because I don't think he's going to be in New Orleans for long. They're not trying to keep him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Denver Nugget very, very soon. So, yes, I can understand why teams did not want to trade for him. $23 million. I think you need to understand the full gravity of the situation. Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk went to a team that has absolutely zero interest in Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk. They have absolutely zero interest in Bruce Brown. I don't know if they want Kelly to be some sort of mentor or something, but I'll guarantee you right now, they would be happier if Kelly was an expiring as opposed to a 2-year deal. So they were looking for expirings to get back for. I just want y'all to understand like how difficult this deal was to do in the first place. When they were trying to trade Brandon Ingram, they were looking for expirings and draft assets. So my question at this point is, did you have to add that Indiana pick because you didn't want to add Chris Boucher? I think that maybe the Raptors gave up that pick just to get off of Kelly Olynyk. I think you pretty much got Brandon Ingram for Bruce Brown. Forget about the saving face of, oh, we got a first round pick. I'm not talking about from the Pelicans side. I'm talking about specifically if you're the Toronto Raptors, if you trade for if you trade for Brandon Ingram, Kelly Olynyk is a $13 million albatross on your books next year, and you'll be fucked. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. So you had to get rid of that contract, and no one was willing to take it. So whether you're going to dump him in the same deal or you're going to dump him in a different deal, that Kelly Olynyk extension has bit the Raptors in the ass because of his back problems and because of his regression defensively. The Raptors must stop doing this. This is like the 3rd time Khem Birch, DeMar Carroll, and now Kelly Olynyk that they have had to get off of draft capital just to unload a contract that they signed. And by the way, I don't think there was a competing offer for Kelly Olynyk. So now I'm genuinely curious why the hell they even signed him in the first place. I understand he's Canadian. He's made a lot of money in his career, yo. Like, why are we doing this? It's such a stupid thing, man. I don't know. Okay, RJ, Scotty, IG, RJ. Oh, who's IG? IQ or Ingram? Yak on the floor. You're kind of clogged the paint. Maybe start Grady Ochai. Oh, RJ, Scotty. Okay, Ingram. I got you. Okay, IG. Okay, so Scotty. No, from context, that makes sense. RJ, Scotty, Ingram, and Yak on the floor. You're kind of clogging the paint. Maybe start Grady Ochai on the 2 spot and interchange Ingram, RJ with the starting bench unit. Darko will experiment with different lineups. No, I fully agree with you, man. And, yesterday on the panel, I definitively said that I think that the Raptors will prioritize Grady Dick over RJ Barrett because they went with Brandon Ingram. And, Ox lost his mind. Like, he thought I was crazy for saying that, but the truth is, next to a Brandon Ingram and a Scotty Barnes, Grady and Jacoby are making sense. I also want to give a big shout out tonight. Jacoby Walter is going to play against Kaysen Wallace. Big shout outs to Eric. My dude Eric trains them both. That's very, very cool. He's going to be in attendance, and he's going to get to watch his two clients go up against each other. And oh, by the way, because RJ Barrett's not playing, Jacoby is going to get a chance to actually play a lot of meaningful minutes. I'm very, very happy for him. I can't tell you like just how many good things I've gleaned and felt about Jacoby. I think he's a huge part of the future. I think it's a huge part of the Toronto wingspan, project that the Raptors are pulling together. This is going to be a really good team very, very soon. Very good, very soon. So I'm excited for tonight. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. 500 plus of you, please like this video. Please subscribe. We are growing. We are growing very, very fast. And if you have a friend in your life that loves movies, loves art house, loves cinema, that person that you always picked on in high school, phone them up. Phone up the person that you picked on in high school, that nerd that was always watching those Spielberg classics, and let them know about Pen Dance. February 27th to March 2nd, link in the description. Tickets and passes are on sale. I appreciate y'all. And let them know about PENSARE Basketball. Especially if they wear a tinfoil hat. They'll love this channel. Okay. Talk to y'all later. I'm joking about that. Peace.